Welcome back to another book review. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Leven Thumps, a Leven Thumps book. It's from the Leven Thumps series. I guess it's called a Leven Thumps book series. I've always just called it Leven Thumps. Regardless, today's episode we are talking about Book 2, The Whispered Secret. Full disclaimer, there will be spoilers for the entirety of Book 1. If you haven't seen my review of Book 2, you can go check that out. I will leave a link in the description, and also there's going to be a card here. You could go check that out, because I'm probably going to be talking a little bit about that book as well. Regardless, this book has tons of spoilers for the first one, so if you haven't read Book 1 or Book 2 and you want to, check that out before you watch this. Otherwise, we're going to get right into it. Also, I didn't state this last time in my first episode, so I want to state it here, and I want to be very clear that regardless of my criticisms when it comes to creating any sort of entertainment, whether it be books, movies, TV shows, anime, video games, I have tons of respect for people that go out and do this type of thing. It is not easy writing a book, let alone creating an entire world, a fantasy world, and then writing a book about that, which I think is really cool. Once again, I have tons of respect for people that are in the entertainment industry that put their imaginations and everything else on the line. Let's get into it. So, Leven Thumps, The Whispered Secret. This is book 2 in the series. There's 5 books. Book 1, The Gateway to Fu, is formerly known. That mostly focuses on the learning about the characters and then their journey to getting to Fu. Honestly, it wasn't very good in my opinion. There were parts of it that I enjoyed, but the parts that really interested me was Fu itself. And book 2, we get a ton of that. It mostly focuses on, well, they are in Fu, and it focuses a lot on that. It's like the mystical fantasy aspects is what I really wanted to learn more about, and we got a ton of that in Fu. The brief synopsis, I'll give you the spark notes of this book. Book 1 leaves off, they make it to Fu, Leven passes out on the couch. Book 2 starts out, the gang's all hanging out, and then immediately these things called rovens, which are just giant crows, they come and just destroy the place, and all of the gang gets split up. We learn a lot more about Fu in this one and how it kind of operates. We learn about creatures that are there. Anyway, once again, the gang gets split up, so it's Leven and Clover are by themselves. Winter and Amelia and Geth, they get split up and they're with each other. Right off the bat, though, Amelia Thumps, Leven's grandmother, she dies. She dies right off the bat. Kind of heartfelt, but also like we didn't know her enough to really care. I guess we did in a sense. I'm sure people have compassion for it, but I guess for me, I didn't know that character enough to, I guess, develop any attachments or anything to, other than the fact that she's Leven's grandma and he's kind of special. She helps the gang out a little bit in book 1, but then she dies. So eventually, Winter, she gets captured by Jamun, which is Sabine's right-hand man, because Sabine previously got wrecked in the last one. So Winter's captured by Jamun. Leven and Clover off doing their own thing, and Geth leaves Winter to go on his journey to find Leven. And I forgot to mention, too, that the entirety of this book focuses on the fact that Geth is a toothpick, but he's slowly dying. He needs to be transformed back into a man. So that's kind of the overarching plot in this one, is that gamers, these guys need to get Geth back to a place called Turrets so that he can become a man again. Lots of things happen along the way, but one thing that I really found interesting is there's lots of characters. I mean, I guess not lots, but there are characters that that I thought were just side characters from book 1 that actually make a return and are going to have a major impact on the story. So we've got several different storylines going on at once. You've got storyline A, which is with Leven and Clover, and then eventually Geth, because Geth meets back up with them. Then you got storyline B, which is Winter, who she's in the prison. And then we've got storyline C, which is, well, I guess at a point you get Geth's journey on what Geth is doing, and he meets a lot of people and stuff happens with him along the way. So I guess he would be plot C. Then we got plot D, which is a toothpick. It's the other part of Geth that we learn about. His name is Ezra. Ezra is like the dark, angry parts of Geth. He apparently got split in half when he became a toothpick. So Geth has just his cheery, chipper, less aggressive side, I guess. And then Ezra is his dark, angrier, more aggressive side. So Ezra, the toothpick, he ends up finding a guy named Dennis. Dennis is a janitor. He hates his life. He wants to freak out of Dodge. Everybody disrespects him in his janitor office. I think he works for a law firm as a janitor. So anyway, Ezra and Dennis, they leave. Ezra is aware of where the gateway to Fu is on Earth. I didn't state that. Ezra and Dennis are on Earth. Ezra knows where the gateway is, so Ezra and Dennis go on a journey. Same journey that Leven and Winter, Geth and Clover went on in the first one. Very condensed for obvious reasons. But along the way, they meet bits of Sabine. Sabine that blew up in the first one. He's the main villain. He didn't actually completely die. He's still hanging around. So yeah, those are kind of all the different plot lines that are going at one time. But one thing that I really wanted to talk about, because we got a lot of it in this book, is just more of Fu. More of the fantasy land of Fu and how different things work. We learned about different creatures. Clover does his silly little goofs with Leven where he gives him candy and then things happen to Leven. We learn about a bunch of the different creatures. We got the Rovens, like I already mentioned. You've got, here's Dennis, by the way. Here's a picture of Dennis, bald janitor guy. Yeah, we had the Rovens. We've got these things called Tharms, which are like little goblin guys. We have things called Sids, which apparently Sids help keep balance in Fu. We've learned about wisps. So going back to, there's a few other plot lines that I wanted to mention as well. Winter's mother, Janet, she on Earth was walking, and it just happened to be the right day, the right time, the right temperature. She took a step on the right crack, but she didn't step all the way through. It was almost like just like her elbow or something. A part of her touched at that exact moment, and a part of her left her body and went to Fu. And that is where we get wisps. Wisps are just like ghost-like beings that can't really interact or do anything. They're kind of see-through. You can't touch them. But they can be affected by wind, which is odd, because nothing else can seem to touch them. But anyway, yeah, so Janet is in Fu, and then we also learn about, in the first book, Winter had neighbors. They were called the Tuttles, and she got really close with them. So Tim Tuttle was the father of the Tuttle family. He really liked Winter, kind of treated her as a daughter. So he goes on a journey, and that's another plot point. So we've got several different plot points. We got Leven, we've got Winter, we've got Geth, we've got Ezra, we've got Sabine does his thing for a little bit, and then we've got Tim Tuttle, who eventually Sabine, Tim, and Ezra and Dennis meet up. And then Leven, Winter, and Geth once again meet back up at the end of the story. So yeah, going back to learning more about Fu. Another thing that I really love about Fu that we got more of is talking about the world building in Fu. Some of the different beings and characters that are in there. We learn more about Nits or Nidions, which are basically anybody that gets snatched up from Earth and ends up in Fu because they happen to step on the right crack when it was like 62 degrees or whatever, and they get zapped to Fu. And we see that there's, to me, it was just a side character that got zapped to Fu. As soon as they got to Fu, a bunch of sycophants, which is what Clover is, they immediately go after this guy, and they're like, dude, let me be your sycophant, let me be your partner, let me be your Yoda to your Luke Skywalker. And we get lots of different cool things like that. We get to see lots of different things. One thing I am confused on still, Winter is a Nit. The glossary in the back here that talks about the characters, and I got this wrong in my my first book review, and I guess I'll just tell you guys, and you guys can give me what your thoughts are. So here in the glossary, which you can't really tell because it's so freaking bright, and I don't know if my camera will focus, but here in the glossary it talks about Winter, and it says she was born in Fu. But in the book itself, it is stated that Winter was not. She's a Nit. She was taken from Fu. She was on Earth, taken to Fu. Excuse me. We find out that Winter also had a sycophant, but eventually had to abandon her sycophant when she went back to Earth to help Leven get back to Fu. Other things that happened in Fu, Sabine created these, they're called Rings of Plague, which are just basically a group of Nits that are working for him. They all have abilities, and they're kind of like the Avengers for the bad guys. They're trying to get back to Earth. And if you think about it, this all is perspective of if you were snatched up from Earth and made it to this weird place, wouldn't you want to do everything in your power to make it back to Earth? What if you're on a date with like the most beautiful girl, or it's the day of your wedding, you're getting married, and then bam, just like that, you're gone, zapped to Fu, this magical place that you don't know anything about. You're gone. You know what I mean? Like, just like that, your life is completely changed. So in a sense, I kind of understand where Sabine and his followers are coming from as far as wanting to get back to Earth. I think Sabine has other evil intentions of wanting to kind of rule Earth and Fu, which brings me to my next point of kind of confusion, but also like I just don't understand it as of yet, is there are magical, mystical things that can happen on Earth as well. I didn't really think about when I read the first book is there are monsters and things that are able to come from Fu and make it to Earth. Like there was this mud monster in book 1 that was like chasing after Leven and Winter. Sabine's shadows are able to get there. When Sabine in this book meets up with Dennis and Ezra on a plane, he's able to control the weather. He's able to control the clouds. The clouds become like a hellish reddish pink color, and he's able to take a plane and flip it upside down and place it on a freeway. There's a part where a building on Earth just like gets up and moves across the road. So I'm not really sure how the magic system crosses over. I mean, I guess I'm still learning about the magic system. There's not really a definitive, like nothing's really laid out as far as the magic system goes. But I guess just keep in mind that magic, because like Winter was able to use her ability on Earth, and so was Leven as well. So I guess in a sense, the magic is everywhere. Yeah, so you can do magic on Earth, you can do magic in Fu. I guess the other thing I forgot to mention is Ezra and Dennis and Sabine, when they go to the gateway, and then Tim meets up with them as well at the end, they are trying to rebuild the gateway back to Fu, which is kind of where this book leaves off. It's where I'm assuming book 3 is going to take place in. Another fun thing that we learn about in Fu is that nobody can die except for a few people. Leven can die, Winter, Amelia, obviously, Geth. Those beings can die. I'm not sure what other beings can die. It is mentioned that Sids, those monsters that are like mountain-sized that are keeping the balance, they can also die. Apparently they killed tons of people, and that's what they would eat in Fu, and people got mad and they started killing Sids as well. So there's only a couple of them left keeping the balance. So that's kind of like, once again, my favorite part about this book, and I honestly really like Obert Sky's imagination. He's got some really cool ideas that I have yet to see in other fantasy novels. Not that I've read a lot, because I really haven't read a lot of fantasy novels. I think kind of my foundation for fantasy is Lord of the Rings. Although I am branching out. I want to read other fantasy novels. I have read The Lord of the Rings. I don't know if I'll ever do a review on those. They're very dense books, and I am one of those people that prefer the movies. Although I really love the way that Tolkien describes things, and his world building is it's immaculate, it's impeccable. But yeah, Obert Sky, I love the way that he writes these and comes up with these really cool creative monsters and different ideas for what goes on in Fu. Like there's a part where Leven has to cross a bridge, but this bridge, it's sentient, and in order to get across the bridge, you need to compliment the bridge into liking you so that it can, I guess, stay held up as you go across it. And the other, I guess, kind of the last thing I wanted to talk about, this ties in the world building, but also the title of the book, The Whispered Secret. A cool thing that Obert created in this is you can bury secrets, like physically bury a secret in the ground. And there's a part where Leven goes and he's digging up a secret. Clover tells him to stop. He's like, dude, stop doing this. He like yells at him, telling him to stop, but something has like consumed Leven, so he keeps digging and digging, and then eventually finds this key, and then uses the key to dig farther and open up this lock, which unleashed a secret. And this secret chases Leven throughout the entirety of the story, but there's a ton of dummy secrets, so it'll be like a bunch of false secrets, and then after all the false secrets, the big secret eventually gets to you, and then in this book, physically hit Leven and smashed him against the wall as he learned what this secret was. And spoilers, I guess spoilers for everything I already mentioned, but the big secret, and where this book leaves off, is the secret was how sycophants can die. So Clover, this little guy here, how his kind can die. Because nobody up to this point knew how sycophants can die, because they play such a role in Fu with their tools. Like Clover has a void, which is basically an infinite pocket that he can reach into and pull things out that can help on the adventures along the way. So that was kind of where the title comes from. It's very, like, it's there, but it's very underneath everything of, like, the whispered secret. I didn't really think about it. Like, the secret would pop up, and I'd be like, oh, the secret, that's what the book's about. This is going to be important. And then it fades away into the back. And then as more things progress, then a secret comes back. You're like, oh, yeah, the secret thing, yeah, but it was something stupid. And then at the very end, it comes back, and you're like, oh, okay, for the book titled The Whispered Secret, we don't get much of the whispered secret. If anything, this was the tale of turning Geth back into a man, which happens, by the way. They do save Geth, and he's apparently this beautiful looking dude. They actually have a picture. Sky drew a picture of Geth, if I can find it. But yeah, they make it to this. They save Winter. Here's Geth right here. Beautiful man. He's got a staff, long hair. He's beautiful. But yeah, I mean, I guess overall, I enjoyed this book far more than I enjoyed book one. To me, book one was a lot of just setup. You learn about the characters, and then they go on this long, stretched out journey to get to the gateway, while getting drip-fed information along the way. Where we're in Fu, we learn about Fu, we learn more about the creatures of Fu, how Fu operates, we learn about more of the magic, we see a lot more monsters, we see more of the world building. Like once Geth gets turned back into a man, the city that he lived in gets restored. Apparently it was just like frozen in time, where there's like a part where a lady is sweeping outside of a building, and once the city gets restored, it's like she's back to normal now. So there's lots of really cool, fun ideas that are surrounding Fu. I really like some of the bad guys, like the Rants, where half of their body is a dream while the other half is stable, so half of their body is constantly changing. You can apparently steal gifts, like the magic. You can steal the magical powers from Nitz. Like Winter loses her gift, Jamoon steals it from her. Leven goes like super badass mode, and his eyes start glowing, like you can see here. He attacks Jamoon. He's able to attack from a distance. So he's learning more about his abilities. So this book, in my opinion, does a lot better than the first one does as far as entertaining me, teaching me more about Fu, because that's really the part I'm really interested in, is all of the fantasy aspects of the story. I live on Earth, and when I'm reading a fantasy novel, like I guess I just don't care that much about it. So yeah, I mean, overall, I would probably give this book, I don't know if I rated the first one. I would give the first one like a 5.5 or 6. I would give this book like a 7. 7.5. Like I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I think that Obert Sky has a creative brain when it comes to creating fantasy things. It's really fun. I really also like the idea of Fu being powered by dreams. And there's lots of things revolved around dreams. Like I already mentioned, the Rants are affected by dreams. You need Fu to keep the balance of dreams and Earth. And that's kind of the whole point of what Geth is telling everybody. Is like, dude, like, we need to restore balance. We need to not destroy Fu, because if we do, then Earth gets destroyed too. And that's pointed out, but apparently Sabine and his followers don't believe that. He thinks that they're being lied to just so they'll stay in Fu. But once again, they can't die, right? There's not very many beings in Fu that can die. So apparently you just live forever. And there's a point where you see like how depressing it is. There's this mountain that is created by people just carrying rocks, and they go to this mountain and then they throw off this rock, which is like, it basically, for a lack of a better term, cleanses them of their sins, I guess. So this mountain is just created by rocks of people chucking these rocks in there. So anyway, lots of really cool ideas. I am excited to get into book 3 because this book left off on kind of a cliffhanger, and I'm excited to see where it goes. But I guess for those listening, not only to just this book series, but I'm going to be starting another book series, another fantasy. It's called, I got it right here, I could show you. It's called Mushoku Tensei. It is a light novel. I have been watching the anime for the last couple years. Season 2 just finished a couple weeks ago. And my buddy Cole has all of the volumes. So this is volume 1. This is stuff I've already read, but I want to do a book review series on these as well. I think there's 20 plus volumes. So it's going to be a little bit before I get to book 3 of Leven Thumps. I also have manga that I've been reading as well that I want to do reviews on. So there's just going to be a lot more in between me reading the Leven Thumps book series. And when I finish this, when I finish Leven Thumps, I'm going to be starting other novels and books that I read when I was younger that I kind of want to go back and revisit and see how they hold up, which kind of is the same reason why I picked this up, because I remember enjoying the first book when I was a kid. Yeah, and I'm glad I'm reading them. I'm enjoying it. I really am. I know it's written for kids, but anyway, we got 3 more books. We've got, next is going to be Leven Thumps, The Eyes of the Want. After that, we got The Wrath of Ezra, and then The Ruins of Alder. So, yeah, that's where we're at. I'm pretty happy with this book, so let me know your guys' thoughts down below if you've read the Leven Thumps Theory series. Don't spoil anything for the later books. If you want to discuss anything in the Whispered Secret or the Gateway, feel free to do so down below. Let me know your guys' thoughts on Obert Sky's writing and his creative imagination. And if there's other book series that you think I should check out, that you think I would like, let me know down in the comments below. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and as always, keep it rad.